Welcome to the Film Trooper podcast, empowering filmmaking entrepreneurs.
Hey, welcome to the Film Trooper podcast. Yes, this is the podcast where we empower you, the filmmaking entrepreneur. And a great way to get started is to get the book, How to Make and Sell Your Film Online and Survive the Hollywood Implosion While Doing It. It's available in paperback, Kindle ebook, as well as an audiobook. And in fact, you can get the audiobook for free when you go to survivetheimplosion.com. That's survivetheimplosion.com. Hey, and welcome to another episode of Film Trooper. And today we're going to focus on some Q&A, question and answers on the whole film distribution process, specifically with this particular filmmaker, Tucia Lyman, who made a film called M.O.M, Mothers of Monsters. And we'll get a little snippet of it here right now. Let's listen to the trailer.
My son Jacob, he just turned 16. That's a handful for any kind of mom.
You want a monster out? That's fine. Monster out.
Leave me alone.
What kind of kid wants to turn his pellet gun into an automatic weapon?
I don't think you should tell anyone.
Chill, Mom, serious.
Let go. Ow. You're hurting me.
Not even touching you.
Everybody loves the fake Jacob. He doesn't fit the profile.
What are you recording me for?
Kitchen cam.
Meet living room cam. Testing. I am spying on my son. And he's a live feed. We're gonna look for signs. We're gonna look for patterns. For anything that can help.
Do you feel Jacob is capable of harming you, Abby?
Okay. Hey! Jacob! Stop it now! No!
What if he hurts someone else?
Hey, Detective Kelly, Mom's freaking out again.
Knock it off.
Are you taking your medications?
Mom?
Even if I could turn him in, I probably wouldn't. Maybe he'll get better.
He what?
Oh my God.
I like your movie.
What's your emergency?
Your mommy loves you.
And that was the trailer for M.O.M. And Tucia, as you'll hear coming up here on the show, has been wanting to know what she should do with the film now that it's finished, and had a lot of questions about the distribution process, and also sharing some of her stories about some of the distribution companies that she has been in discussions with. And it's a great listen. It's a little bit long, but it's a very in-depth episode in terms of, I think, a lot of filmmakers out there, a lot of film troopers out there that might be in the same boat where I think I just finished a film that's pretty good, but what do I do about it? And the landscape of distribution may not be as beneficial as you think it should be. And so that's what we're going to explore in today's episode. So here's Tucia Lyman, the filmmaker of M.O.M, here on the Film Trooper podcast.
I'm actually, my day job is really a showrunner. I'm a showrunner for cable TV shows. So, Discovery, A&E, National Geographic, channels like that. And last year, we decided that we wanted to do a feature film. I work with a lot of producers and camera guys and crew that work on films, and we had a little hiatus, so we decided to make a film. Of course, it was a much bigger undertaking than I initially thought it would be. But I wrote and directed a film. It's called M.O.M. It's the abbreviation M.O.M, and it stands for Mothers of Monsters. And it's a psychological thriller about it's super relevant theme, about a mom who thinks her son is a psychopath, her teenage son. Mm-hmm. And he sort of slips through the cracks of the system. And so she starts to videotape him at home against his knowledge. He doesn't know about it, to try and figure out if he's a psychopath or if he's a typical hormonal teenager. And so it turns into a very, very dark kind of thematic film about that.
Yeah, and I have to say that the trailer is very good. It definitely conveys, I think, the message on point of what you want your film to be about. But the performances and so on, it looks intense. So well done, job well done.
Thank you. Yeah, we ended up casting some pretty great actors. We even got Ed Asner to be in the film.
Yeah.
And he was great. And then, of course, our star is Melinda Page Hamilton. And she's she's in Mad Men. She's in an upcoming series on Netflix called Messiah, and several other television shows and films, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And then we cast for the lead kid. We are using a kid named Bailey Edwards, who is Anthony Edwards' son. And he's a terrific actor, just a terrific actor. So we were lucky to get a really good cast and to have a really successful shoot. Of course, now we're at the point where we're almost done with post, and we're trying to figure out how the heck to sell the thing.
Yeah, well, there you go. I mean, you've done the right thing in a sense that you had a project. It's like you said, it's on a lower budget side of things in terms of the production value, in a sense that it has like a found footage because it works into the story, because it's mostly from the mom's point of view of all the different cameras she's got to set up to try to just validate like whether or not her son is a danger to anybody, not only himself but other people. And with that said, and it's great that you have some names in there, because like that is a plus of any kind in any film world, to have something, and like you said, have all three actors having the potential. One, it's funny, you have three generations of actors, it's like Ed Asner, Melinda, and then Edward's son. So it's like, with all that said, it has a potential, like, the value of your film may be relevant, like, in a year or two later too, because if one of those actors happened to be on a particular series or something that actually thrusts, into the spotlight, sometimes people like look back to see what other stuff they had done. I remember that happened many, many years ago with like Leonardo DiCaprio and Tobey Maguire. They did like a short film or something for a friend of theirs, and their careers took off, and there was this whole litigation about whether or not they ever wanted to release this one film. But anyway, meaning that we've seen it happen before. Michael J. Fox, for instance, he did Teen Wolf years ago, and then they never released it until after Back to the Future. So after that became well done, they actually released it afterwards to kind of capitalize on his the success of Back to the Future. So things like that happen. Okay, with that said, you have a tremendous amount of questions that you gave, and tremendous meaning like great questions, that I thought you and I were on a back and forth in the email, and I just thought it'd be just probably beneficial to just bring it onto a podcast episode as like a Q&A, and we can just kind of go through it and have discussions about, what advice have you found since we've talked, because I'm sure you've talked to other industry people, and I could tell you in terms of me going and getting some insight from the people that have been guests on the podcast, and as well as just like the last few years of running this podcast, some of the similarities or some of the things I've seen, to just sort of give insight to other filmmakers who might be in the same boat as you guys. So with that said, we can bring up your email if you want to. Did you want to just read off like maybe the first question or paraphrase for that part, and we can kind of go from there?
Sure, yeah. I will say that it's very interesting. I don't think I'm the only one that has these questions, because I do have a network of colleagues and friends who work in the industry, both in television and in film. And I have asked all of them my questions about how to sell the film once you've actually made it. And everyone has a different opinion. It's it's kind of shocking. And you know what? Most people are kind of adamant that their opinion is the correct opinion. And so they're all very convincing. But at the end of the day, I'm left thinking, scratching my head thinking, okay, well, which option is the best option for us? I will say that I had heard on one of your podcasts, you had a guest who said, trying to sell your film without a sales agent is like trying to defend yourself in court without a lawyer. And initially when I heard that, I thought, oh, good. The first thing we should do is get a sales agent. Mm-hmm. Of course, the more that I spoke with people, distributors and sales agents, and even aggregators, everyone seems to have a different opinion. And I know that the distribution model is changing pretty rapidly for films, at least for the lower budget indie films.
Mm-hmm.
And so we are trying to figure out, do we need a sales agent to sell a film? Or do we go straight to the distributors? Or do we, use someone like Distributor to sell the film?
Right. So, with that said, I think that's like your first question was like, what do we do with this? And I remember sending you a clip of, it was about the music industry, and it was just something like, it was from a film that it was a documentary on what's his name, Jared Leto's band, 30 Seconds from Mars, where they talked about a little segment. They talked about how the music industry works, and in terms of, it's like one aspect of the music industry, but it gives you kind of good a perspective of like how most media companies or media distribution outlets work in relationship to the artist. And it's interesting you said that, because every film is different. A lot of times a sales agent, their role is to take a collection of films and sell it to overseas territories, meaning they're usually playing sort of in like the international market. And so for those who are just like kind of jumping and listening to this, we have, I kind of always thought it broke it down to, from everything that I've gathered, like the amount of information that I've sort of aggregated over the years and all the different people I've interviewed. It's come down to like, there's the Hollywood studio system, and then there's what I call like the Indie Spirit Award system, meaning like there's certain films that they're always part of those, the Sundance, the Tribeca, or the Toronto International Film Festival, the Cannes Film Festival, and they're part of the Indie Spirit Award when they have like their version of the Oscars. Well, it's not like everybody's invited to that. That's like the subset that's like an offshoot of what the studio system is. And then you have what I call the film market world, or the international film market world, which is honestly, sometimes a lot of schlock is bought and sold. When I say schlock, it's not the highbrow art film that you think. And if American Film Market was a few months ago in Los Angeles and Santa Monica, and that is literally a film market. People buy and sell films at these events. And the same people that attend the American Film Market will attend the Berlin Film Market, International Film Market, then the Cannes Film Market, and there's the Cannes Film Market, and then the Cannes Film Festival, and they're actually sort of separate. But it's like not every market has a film festival tied to it. But the same group of buyers and sellers travel to all those different markets throughout the year, and there's like only 4 or 5 of them. There's different outlets like M.O.M and the ones that focus on television, acquisitions, content, and then film content and so on. So the main thing about that was walking the halls and walking the lobby to see who's buying and selling what films at these markets. It's your action films with like some of these titles. You're like, whoa, what, like our series that are still like, Dolph Lundgren is still making films, like some old aging action heroes are still making films and still selling them, because action is a very visual, visceral type of content that sells easily internationally. Horror films, or that genre, is also very translatable in terms of international sales, because it's carnal, and it means that everybody gets scared the same way. You don't necessarily have to have a big star, because if people just want to be scared. The hard things to sell internationally are comedies, because comedies are very dependent sometimes on cultural sensibilities. So American comedies have a very hard time selling internationally. And I remember years ago, the number one comedy star in the world was Rowan Atkinson, Mr. Bean and Johnny English. It's because his character, Mr. Bean, didn't speak. Everything was physical comedy. So that would translate easily throughout the world, because the comedy was visual, very old school, like Buster Keaton style, and Jerry Lewis style, and so on. And then you have like dramas and so on, and dramas seem to only work internationally. Again, this is oversimplification of it, if there is a major star attached to it, because this is sort of like their passion project. Like they might be known for some big budgets movies, but then at the same time they might have like a small personal story they wanted to share, and that's sometimes they're attached to some sort of drama that way. And so those are like the